And then the last album that I wanted to talk about is one that I actually hold pretty dear, primarily because folks that know me, have paid attention to my stuff, are kind of familiar with where I'm from, know that I'm from South Dakota, know that I'm located in the Black Hills, and so that Elvis's last commercial, or last commercially filmed, professionally filmed, I guess is the word that I'm looking for, performance was in Rapid City, South Dakota on June 21st, 1977, along with, before that, a couple days in Omaha, Nebraska, for the Elvis in Concert television special, which ended up coming out posthumously. Elvis passed away a couple months later in August, obviously, and so they sort of threw together this TV show using that footage from those two concerts because they really had to. There were people that were wanting to see, I mean, it had been promoted, and people were wanting to see it, and people were wanting to collectively mourn, and also celebrate his life. You know, that's why throughout the show there are bits sprinkled through of fans talking about how great they thought Elvis was. And so it came out in late 77. And then the album came out. The accompanying album came out in It actually came out in 1977 as well. But Elvis in Concert, which most people tend to think of as a 1978 release, but it really was 77. It's 2 LPs. Now, the album art, if you notice, doesn't actually feature Elvis as he appears in either show. I'm sure I've seen some pictures that they could have used. But I understand why they didn't. They wanted to show Elvis kind of at peak form, health-wise, on the art. But the album basically speaks for itself in terms of his vocal capabilities, which had gone downhill. It's an interesting listen. The first LP that comes with it, because it's got 2 LPs, it actually has sleeves that, of course, promote buying Elvis's records. Not something nice, not something, paying tribute, but please buy more records. But the first LP is actually pretty closely follows the TV special. It starts with fan comments. It goes into 2001: A Space Odyssey, CC Rider, That's All Right Mama, Are You Lonesome Tonight? People who are familiar with Elvis's 70s set lists, and in particular the 77 shows in Omaha and Rapid City, are familiar with how those go in terms of order. And then it goes through, Hurt and Hound Dog, Can't Help Falling in Love, and then you get that closing message, which was accompanied by video in the TV special, obviously, but a message from his dad, Vernon, talking about how much he has appreciated all of the the letters and the feedback and stuff like that fans had sent in to the family and to Vernon about Elvis's passing, and how much Elvis was loved and things like that. And then the second LP is really more just a grab bag of here are the performances that we didn't include on the first part of it. Here's like extra stuff that was recorded at those shows, and these were obviously professionally recorded as well. Not just video-wise, but audio-wise, so they're very well mixed. However, Elvis isn't in the best vocal shape, and he clearly sounds tired. He, at moments, he's not, enunciating as well as he used to. Even on songs that are more recent, stuff like Fairy Tale, or Hurt, not necessarily doing as well as he does on the record itself. However, the one thing that's not included on this album, interestingly enough, is Unchained Melody. People tend to remember that one as like one of the peak performances from that special, but that actually didn't appear on the special. It actually only appeared in the Great Performances much later on. It surfaced there, and then it sort of went viral from there. Like, it got passed around, and then it became this very well-loved performance by fans. And then once the internet hit, what was like, well, now we can just look at this performance of Elvis doing Unchained Melody. It's so, great. It's so it's not groundbreaking, but it's heartbreaking. That's what I was looking for. And it's so sincere, and yet he still got it. And you can see in the expressions in his face and things like that he's so passionate about the music, and he's still passionate about performing there at times when he had the right song, and he still wanted to give his all at times when he had the right song. And as I've talked about before on this, and there's actually there's a deleted scene from Never Been to Graceland where the two lead characters actually talk about this show, and the debate has gone around because this actually hasn't gotten much of a re-release or a remaster over the year because they don't want to draw attention to it. The estate doesn't really want to draw attention to it. Lisa Marie doesn't really want to draw attention to it. They're content with it existing out there. People who want to find it can find it. They have shut down some bootlegs that have come out. There was a big set that came out, I don't know, 10 years ago or something like that. That was like all of his last tour stuff, and it was video, it was CDs, it was a huge package, and they shut that down, and rightfully so. It's they've actually been more smart than some people would give them credit for, because they haven't done if you go look at search up in the YouTube bar Elvis Unchained Melody, you'll see it's millions of views on Unchained Melody, and they know that it's out there, and people who want to find it can find it and see it and appreciate it for what it is. It doesn't need to be remixed. It doesn't need to be remastered. It is what it is. It's accessible for Elvis fans and for rock and roll historians, and this album is on streaming services as it appeared in the 70s. You can still find it. It's not like it's disappeared, and copies are not hard to come by nowadays, even on LP. You can hop on eBay and find it. So would I recommend going out and finding it? Do I recommend listening to it? There are some Elvis fans whose this was their first album. Or there are some Elvis fans whose first album was from Elvis Presley Boulevard, Memphis, Tennessee. There are some Elvis fans whose first Elvis album was Moody Blue. Everyone's going to come to it differently. So I would say check it out, whether you're a new fan or a longtime fan. If you haven't listened to it in a while, it might be a hard listen for you. It's not, if you don't have the visual, it's not as bad as everyone says it is. Yeah, he's tired, but it's not nearly as bad as people say when you listen to the audio. There are still some performances that he goes all in on. Stuff like I Really Don't Want to Know isn't too bad. My Way obviously is another excellent performance from this show. So definitely, if you are curious about it, check it out. Elvis in concert. And that's the first, 9, 10, 11. We kind of covered it. It's sort of a gray area with the compilations and stuff like that for the first day. But I'm going to do another series as well that will follow up. And I'll do that. I'll record that. You won't see that. It'll be a day or so, or however long it's going to be. But I'm going to do some of the most the biggest posthumous releases that I think had something interesting to say or worth talking about. And hopefully you enjoy those as well. But those were the albums that came out during his lifetime, or in the case of Elvis in Concert, immediately after his passing, that weren't included in the RCA Albums box set collection from 2016. Hopefully you've enjoyed that look at those, and hopefully you'll tune back in for the ones posthumously. And I'm just going to throw out there, I'm also going to do, since I've now going to be covering all these albums, now that I've covered all those, I'm actually going to do a top 10 list of my top 10 favorite Elvis albums released when he was alive. So stay tuned for that. Thanks.